Oh, David, thank you for coming on
Jake,
the podcast.
thanks for letting me be here. This is my first podcast.
That's awesome. Well, this is my first podcast too. I'm a few episodes in, but this is my first. No,
Yeah.
no. So, 46 Trading Co. We're in the Rose District right now. If we went and looked out the window, we can see right where you guys used to be.
Yes.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'd love it if you could kind of introduce yourself and your ties to the company, and then.
Okay. Yeah. My name's David Hansen. On TikTok and Facebook, everyone knows me as Hanson the Hatter, and I'm the hatter for the store. And I've been shaping hats and stuff since I was a young man. So I would say I've got well over 30 years experience in shaping hats. And about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, my cousin, we were doing some work out at the baseball fields for his son's school summit, which is around the corner. We were doing some dirt work out there, and he approached me about, hey, I'm thinking about opening up a Western type store to sell my products. And just to kind of give you all a little backfill about my cousin, he manufactures all the clothing for the Justin Boot line, and so he wanted to be able to put in a retail store that he could sell the Justin products that he manufactures at a good reasonable price, a wholesale price. I don't like using the word cheap. Nobody wants anything cheap, but we're definitely very competitive on prices. And so we drove around, and he was kind of picking my brain of where to put it. And I had a few locations, and he had a few locations. And I believe him and his wife decided they were going to put it right here on Main Street here in Broken Arrow in the Rose District, which, I was like, man, I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm game. Let's do this. So 2 years ago, I started out part-time, doing a little hatting through the week and helping them get the store ready. And I'm a very people person. So when customers come in, sometimes they get a story, which I believe I met you a few months ago.
Yes.
And you got a little bit of that spill.
I think I was there for about a half hour or so.
I probably could have kept you there longer. But anyway, so I started out there. Me and my brother do a lot of dirt work, so I was doing that full time for a lot of the new home builders in the Tulsa area. And I'd say almost 2 years ago, I had a heart attack, and I was still running equipment, and I finally got to the point where it's like, I'm tired of getting beat to death running this stuff. And so I come to my cousin and said, hey, I think I might want to do this full time and get out of the equipment and do this a little bit easier on the body. And so he's like, that's great. We're fixing to open up the mall store. And I was like, oh, okay. So now we're going to have 2 locations. And so we opened up the store next to Shields there on the upper level at Woodland Hills Mall. And we had it there. It was a trial deal that they had with Woodland Hills. It was like a 6-month lease, and it went real well. It really surprised me of how fast it grew. That store was keeping up with the Main Street store as far as numbers. So, but my cousin, he always has another vision, and so he decided, hey, you know what would be really cool is to do a business to business type deal for workwear and for our local businesses around here. And it doesn't have to be just workwear. We embroider and heat press stuff for not just companies, but ranchers, farmers. They like to get their brand put on their clothing. And some of the rodeo guys and some of the kids that show in the 4-H and FFA, they like to have caps made and embroidered. And so we branched that out. So we ended up closing both the stores and moving them to a new location here in Broken Arrow off 71st. And so now we have a outfitter side, and then we have the store side. and I'm still shaping hats.
And that's all in the span of about like 3 years or so.
Yeah. A lot of remodeling, and it was fun. We were actually we shut down the Main Street store like right after Christmas, and so we ended up shutting down the Main Street or the mall store. We had to stay open until the end of February, so that's what we did, and then we shut it down. And anyways, we in the midst of all that, we had people working on getting the new store remodeled and set up. And the end of February, we shut that store down, and March 6th, we opened the doors to the new store in the new location. So we've been staying fairly busy. I mean, a new move, it takes a little while to get people to start. And, I've had a lot of people come in that were a little upset about the store moving off of Main Street. I know Deborah Wimpy, she was like, man, I really wish you guys would stay down here. And of course, the store that we were in, it was a great start, but we wanted to grow, and there wasn't enough room to grow. And I mean, we had that place pretty packed.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and especially with the side of like doing more, probably pressing and embroidery or all that work. Like you need more space for that. I bet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the building we moved to, the back half of it is basically our embroidery equipment and our heat presses and stuff. I've actually got a heat press up on the main countertop. So on one end, I've got my steamer for hats, and on the other end, I've got a press in case somebody comes in and wants something done, just a couple items. And that's kind of the reason we went that route, because my cousin was already doing a lot of shirts for an electrical company that was worldwide. And, they've got 4,000 employees, and it's just not cost efficient to shut down a big operation to do 3 or 4 items, So, but now we can. And so he has bought more embroidery heads and stuff like that, so we can. And I'm now learning that. So I'm a man. I say I'm a man of many talents, but master of none. But it's a lot of that's how we were raised. You know, we come from a very close knit family, and actually that store, it runs around a lot of us family, and me and all my other cousins, we're all kind of entrepreneurs, and our grandfather instilled that into us. And he still worked a 9 to 5. Matter of fact, he retired from McDonnell Douglas. But when we were growing up, he was in the oil business. He had oil wells. He also was in the dirt work business. He had 2 dozers, and he kept them busy. And the family all helped run that. He had cattle. He had rental properties. And it was really nice because we learned a lot. We learned how to work on oil wells and pump jacks. We learned how to work cattle, rental properties. Anytime something broke, Grandpa would call one of us was free to go help him fix something, But it's kind of neat how that all worked out. I know, talking about family and work, and my great grandfather, and this is kind of a unique story. When he first, and we're talking back in probably the 50s or 60s, when he was doing dirt work, and this is my great grandfather, he didn't really have the money just to go buy a dozer. But back then, there wasn't contracts. It was mainly a handshake, and that meant something. And I feel like we kind of fallen away from that nowadays. But so what he did was he would find someone that was selling a dozer, and when he would find a pawn job or a clearing job, he would go to this guy and be like, "Hey, I would like to purchase your dozer. Can you deliver it? And do you mind if I pay you on such date?" And 9 times out of 10, the guy would be like, "Yeah, that's not a problem." He goes, "I promise I'll have you paid by this date. Now, he knows in his mind it might take him 2 weeks to build that pond. And he knows that, well, in 2 weeks, I'll have him paid because I'll get paid from this guy. Mm-hmm. It was a very risky move, but it worked for him. So this guy would come and deliver this dozer. He would dig it out, and then he would end up getting paid, and he would pay that guy off for his dozer. Well, now he's sitting on a dozer and has no way to move it. Well, then he would sell that dozer to someone else. And my grandfather seen what he was doing, and he said, you know what? He goes, why don't I buy you the equipment you need, and we'll just go in business together. And that started the Hansen dozer work part of it. And I was that little 4 or 5 year old kid sitting on an armrest with either my dad, my uncle, my great grandfather, or my grandfather doing dirt work. And I could go on forever telling you stories about those too. But that's just kind of just a little taste of how this family works and the things we do. I wish we had more video cameras back in the day to see how we rounded up cattle to get them to the stockyards or move them to another pasture, and the whole family would be out there. And then all of our friends, when we were teenagers, everybody wanted to come help us move cows or, work cows, whichever. And man, everybody would just show up and we'd make a day of it. You know, and but that's just kind of a brief touch on the store, the family, and then I believe you even got a little bit of story when you come into the store a few months back. I think he said, well, I was there for 30 minutes, but I'm sure we could have went on a little longer.
No, I mean, that was good. I mean, it probably would lead me into asking you tee you up for another story, but we talked about just kind of your family's history, and then that actually tipped into the history of Tulsa and Broken Arrow early on.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start. It's
I know. I mean, and
story.
That could be hours and hours and hours.
I'll try to break it down a little faster for you. But so my great grandparents come here, and I'm talking my great grandparent Hansen, and they come here on the Trail of Tears. Their parents did. And so they were here before Oklahoma was a state. And they had the first boarding house here in Tulsa. And back then it wasn't called Tulsa. It was called Tulsi Town. And there wasn't much of anything, probably just an old dirt road going into a dilapidated town. Tulsa didn't really grow till the oil boom. And so there is a little history there, and I tell everybody that comes in the store, and I really, people ask me, hey, Dave, what does the 46 mean? And, with the mass influx of people moving here from other states, they didn't understand because they didn't have Oklahoma history. And I'm like, well, Oklahoma was the 46th state to join the Union. And to tell you that little story, well, my grandparents, basically, if you think about it, they helped found Tulsa and Oklahoma. They were the first settlers here, just like a lot of them. And even in Broken Arrow, my great-grandfather Taylor, which I was telling you about, that's the one that ran the dozer. They lived in Broken Arrow, well, what we'd call Broken Arrow, but back then it was a dairy farm that he worked on for many years. And it was a big dairy farm, and it ate up a lot of what we call Broken Arrow. And so anyways, our roots are real deep here, and I'm trying to break it down where I'm not taking forever to talk about it.
I like that. It's just so fascinating too. I mean, I talked about, I moved from Minnesota, and I moved from just outside of the cities. We would go north, we would go and there'd be more farmland, and we'd be, we'd see the more rural, right? But I grew up 15 minutes out of the city. So we kind of had to more so escape to nature. We had to make it intentional to go see the state parks and go. I mean, North Shore, so beautiful. We got Boundary Waters up there, all that. But for me, it's so fascinating to hear these stories. Now, of course, there are people who have cows and who have farms and stuff in Minnesota, but it's definitely different in the way where you don't see it as much close to the city. I feel like.
Yeah.
Where when, getting here and then experiencing Broken Arrow, it really does feel like a big, small town, and just people who know each other, and like the roots run deep here for a lot of people, and the pride in the city and in the state that people are from.
Yes.
I think that's really, really cool.
Well, I'm 50 years old, and it just blows my mind that a lot of the people that I graduated high school with or went to school with either have a business down here on Main Street. One of them's a mayor, and so, yeah, it's, I would have never thought that, we would still be here and there would be this many of my, I guess you could say my school fellows,
Yeah.
Being on the same strip. So it's been a blessing. I enjoy it. Broken Arrow was a very big ag community. Of course, Rooster Days.
Yeah.
That's where that name comes from, because they had a festival. People would bring their roosters in. But when I was in high school, our FFA program was huge. We had 4 ag teachers. So what people are seeing today when they move here, I've watched this town grow.
Yeah.
I mean, in high school, if someone told me we were going to have a Bass Pro Shop in Broken Arrow, I would have laughed at them. I was like, there ain't no way.
Or Shields.
But yeah, yeah. So, but it's crazy just how fast this, but it still has a little bit of that old community left in it. And luckily we haven't held it back. I see a lot of small towns around Oklahoma that have opportunity to grow, and a lot of the people just don't want it to grow, and they'll hold it back. And if it's going to grow, it's going to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's something too. Like, I mean, I understand that I come in as someone who has like no roots here at all. And I'm not here to shake things up in a way of like bring my ideas and make things. No, I really want to empower community here that I already see thriving to thrive even more. And I've heard a few people say, but we don't want it to grow more, this and this. I'm like, it's grown. I'm not making it grow.
And that's the thing I like here. And that was the one thing about being down on Main Street is I'd have so many people come in here at the store and from all walks of life. And I just talk to them, and they would get really, involved in the stories I was telling them. And they're like, a lot of them would say, I've been to many places, but something about this town and in Oklahoma in general, we're very kind people. We're not mean. We welcome you with open arms. Just don't make us mad.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But for the most part, we've always been, I guess you could say, just good old country folk, with a lot of hospitality. And I hope it stays. I do.
Yeah,
I
me
do.
too.
I hope that those that move here embrace that as well.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's, that's what I kind of miss about being on Main Street. Now, is I don't have that crowd of people. It is crazy. All the people that come down to Main Street, from either they're here for work, and people tell them, hey, come down on Main Street and check it out. Go eat. Check out the stores. And then you have people here that their families moved here, and they love this place so much that when they come to visit, they go to Main Street.
Yes. Every time we have family come, we're hitting Main.
Yeah. And so, I'm glad to see that happening, for Broken Arrow. And I think it's going to keep growing. We're basically going to just bleed right into Tulsa.
Yeah.
You're not going to know Tulsa from, it's already kind of at that point.
But, well, I mean, I love the events too, and on Main Street, like even as we're recording this, probably already happened, but on Saturday, they're having a Fiesta de Mayo.
Yes, Fiesta de Mayo.
I think they have over 60 vendors, and they're shutting it down. And,
yes, yeah,
a lot of cultural dancers. It's gonna be fun.
I think they just started that like a year or two.
I think this is year 3 or 4. I think it's
matter of fact, have you had a chance to go to Rooster Day Rodeo?
I have not. I wasn't here yet, so this will be my first.
We're gonna have a big presence out there this year. we got to sign on one of the buck and shoots, and then I'm going to be out there both nights, Friday and Saturday night, with the table. And anybody that has a hat that's a little dirty or or if they just want to come by and say hi and talk, that's fine too. So we're going to have a big presence out there. Matter of fact, I just finished up doing the shirts for the drill team girls, and those are the girls that ride out, before the rodeo with the flags and does the anthem and stuff. But it's next weekend.
Really?
Yep, next weekend. I highly encourage you to come out, check it out. I believe Mayor Wimpy's even been posting a lot about it on BA Buzz.
Yeah.
She usually shows up out there every year that I've been out there. And so you'll have to come by the store.
Yeah.
Let me get you some boots and a hat.
Oh yeah. See, that's where I was gonna go.
Up.
That's where I was gonna go next is for someone like myself who has no clue about hats, boots. You see the shoes I'm wearing, I probably look like a fool to you. I got holes
Those
in
are
my
Crocs,
shoes.
right?
Basically.
Yeah. Hey,
Where do you
comfortable?
Where do you even start? Like, there are so many different types of hats. Like, how do I not look like a poser cowboy?
Yeah.
And
I'm one of those. There's so many gatekeepers in the Western community, and I kind of hate that. And they're ones that are like, oh, you should only buy this kind of hat. You should only wear this kind of shirt. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be that way. To bring this up, I look at cowboys in different categories. So you've got your weekend cowboy that, he has his own kind of style. He might like pointy boots instead of square-toed boots. And you'll see him at usually like the dance halls, like Boots and Diamonds, Track 5. Matter of fact, I just seen that the old Tulsa City Limits is open back up. It's called City Limits Saloon, which I know you know nothing about coming from Minnesota, but Tulsa City Limits was my parents' place to go dance. And it's got some historical meaning to it as well, because Brooks and Dunn would play there. They shot Boot, Scoot, and Boogie there at Tulsa City Limits. So it's, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, so you got some of these people, will call them drugstore cowboys.
Yeah.
Your weekend cowboy warriors that are, you got your rodeo cowboy. Then they have their kind of own attire they like to wear. And then you have your real ranch working cowboy. They have their attire they like to wear. And then you just have your, kick around cowboy that he's just a country boy. He's got the pickup, the four-wheel drive. He may not have any cattle, but he's got the hat. And so it's funny. I actually had a customer come in one time, and he told me, he said, I'd buy a hat, but I don't have any cattle. And I was like, well, that's okay. I'll sell you some cattle. And he goes, well, I ain't got no land to run the cattle on. I said, yeah, I'll sell you some land. I said, I'll even sell you the truck that you need to take care of them and stuff. And I said, either way, I'll get you all that stuff so you can have a hat, but it'd be a lot cheaper just to buy the hat, because you don't have to have that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle, I believe. And I kind of like the cowboy lifestyle, and I want people to embrace that. And, Taylor Sheridan has done a pretty good job with that with Yellowstone. Now, there's people that love it and hate it and take it as it is, but he's done a really good job about the ranch life or farm life and some of the things those people have to actually face. And so anyways, as far as, cowboy attire, it's for anybody that wants to wear it, and looking like a poser. Yeah. I'll say that there's a few things that you probably don't want to do that'll make you kind of look like a poser. And that would be, you definitely don't want to wear your pants too short or you look like you're waiting for a flood to come, and definitely don't wear your hat backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know how many pictures I've seen from the Houston rodeo of people buying their first cowboy hat and they're wearing it to the rodeo and they're on backwards. I'm not one to make fun of them. I'll just pat them on the back and say, you got your hat on backwards. Don't make a big scene about it. But now, back in the day when I was younger, I may have would have poked fun at them. But, as you get older, you you tend to change your ways a little bit.
No, I mean, I like that a lot. I mean, I even, like I had said to you, I had a guy come up on my TikTok actually who makes hats, and it's so fascinating to watch.
Really?
He'll he'll probably do all these things that are definitely not like cowboy style, but it'll be like these different.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I don't know.
Is
He has
out
like
of Colorado.
He puts like a pin in at the end, like a nail. That's like his signature.
His signature. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just so fascinating to watch. He steams it and spins it.
He's very popular on TikTok.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. He's that guy that you go to if you was like a heavy metal rocker. He's gonna make a hat that fits your genre.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. He could do any kind of hat you want, and that's kind of where I would like to be at. I know me and my cousin had talked about it a while back ago. If we could find a milliner that's selling their equipment, that I would like to start making hats from scratch as well. But it's a process, and it's a lot of tools that go along with that. And but maybe one day we'll find somebody that's ready to retire. It is a dying trade.
Yeah.
There's not as many hat shapers out there. And, there's one thing I don't do is I never cut anyone down that's trying to learn. So, a lot of your smaller, I wouldn't say smaller, a lot of your corporate Western wear stores, I won't mention any names, but, they have hat shapers there that they don't really know a whole lot, but they're trying to learn. Well, there's no school for them to go to. I think one finally opened in Colorado, but back in the day, I believe American and at one time Stetson would put on a class for those that worked in a Western wear, and they would take you for a week, 2 weeks, and then they teach you how to shape a straw hat, a felt hat, and there's just there wasn't none of that around anymore. They quit doing it for quite a while, and so I never judge anybody that's working at those places that's trying to learn how to shape a hat, because I know there's nobody there to really teach them, and they're trying to wing it. Worst case scenario, anybody that buys a hat there, you let them shape it. It's not what you want. You can come bring it to me, and I'll fix it for you.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. And I get that a lot at the store. I get a lot of people that'll bring hats in that they let someone try to shape it and wasn't quite the way they wanted it, and I'll fix it the way they like it. And it's not a big deal. But yeah, I never down anybody that's trying to learn something new, especially when there's no teachers around to really teach it. So trial by error.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was interesting. I think where I was going to try and go, sometimes I lose my thoughts on.
I get that way too. I'm a squirrel. If you haven't noticed, I have ADD and ADHD.
Yeah, I have a touch of whatever that is too. But what I was going to say is what I think is so cool when I see the hat making is there was like you look back, there's been like a hat culture in general. Now, where you see it in a very diluted way kind of emerging is with like people with custom I don't even know exactly how to say it, but a lot of like baseball caps, but they're more like kind of fitted, and people really they like to collect them in that way.
Yep.
And it's like you start seeing like touches of like, hey, for some reason people want like a hat culture, and it's not really a thing most places. So
it is kind of like you saying culture. Like you go to Ireland, a lot of guys wear those. I don't know what they're called. My mind.
Yeah.
The name's on the tip of my tongue, but my mind went blank. But speaking of styles and different cultures, back in the day, the cowboy was really invented by the vaqueros. The Spaniards coming to Mexico. They come up with the sombrero. So the cowboy hat was kind of spun off of that. But we kind of had someone help change it up a little bit, and that was John B. Stetson. And the first cowboy hat I would say, American cowboy hat was the Boss of the Plains. And it was basically just a flat brim, open crown hat. There was really not much shape to it. And then eventually cowboys would just shape it the way they want, or they'd wear it to the point where it would create its own shape. So a lot of your Westerns, you'll see those hats where they're just mangled up and nothing looks right on it. And now to tell you this story, when cowboys in America first started, there wasn't a cowboy hat. A lot of them wore what they call bowlers or baller hats, the little short brim, rounded hat, or the caps. It wasn't until later on when John B. Stetson come out with the Boss of the Plains that's what cowboys finally started wearing. So, yeah, your original cowboys in the very beginning didn't wear cowboy hats at all.
Yeah.
They wore like the stuff you'd see in the gangs of New York,
Yeah.
the baller hats, you know. But I learned this from watching a lot of history on YouTube about hats, because I am so very passionate about it, and boots too. You know, I always like to hear a good story about, you know, how boots were made and the different styles and how they were used for work.
The only type of boots I know are snow boots for trudging through Minnesota winters.
It has a purpose. That's the one thing I can say about Western wear and cowboy hats and boots is they all had a purpose. And usually it was a work-related purpose. But to be able to wear it in style sometimes is just as nice too.
So if I were to come into your shop, right, I have no clue what my style is. Where do you start with someone who comes in and is like, I want a hat, I want some boots?
You know, and here's the thing. I tell them, you wear what you like.
Right.
Wear what you like because you're the one wearing it. I mean, I could tell you what's popular, but it might not be your style. And, you know, I've had a lot of people come in that's never owned a hat, and they're like, I don't want a cowboy hat because I just don't have the face for it. And I'm like, well, you haven't met me yet. So I bet you I could shape a hat to fit your face and it looks good on you. And very rarely do I ever have them say no. They usually end up falling in love with it. And a few months later, they'll come back and tell me, Dave, I'm so glad you taught me into this. I really enjoy this hat. I wear it out to dinner sometimes, or I wear it out dancing with my wife, or, you know, so I hear that a lot. I hear people say, I just can't wear a cowboy hat because it's just that my face isn't for it. And that's not always the case. But if you was to come in, I'd show you all the boots and all the clothing and let you kind of decipher what you like, because at the end of the day, that you're the one wearing it, not me, you know?
Yeah.
Some people like to be different, you know, outside the box is the way I kind of look at it. And so sometimes they'll have me shape hats that I'm like, I know I wouldn't wear it, but they love it. And as a matter of fact, they can rock it, you know. They can make it work because it fits their style. So, but yeah, you definitely have to come in.
Yeah, I would love to.
And we'll get you some boots set up. Now, I'll tell you this. My boot selection, we carry more of a higher end boot, which is exotic skin boots. So, you know, we got a lot of ostrich. We've got some caiman skin boots. Wow. We even have elephant skin boots.
Wow.
So, as a matter of fact, if you're going to buy a work boot, if you could get an elephant skin with like a workwear sole, those things will outlive you, because that elephant skin is so tough. And to throw this out here, guys, no, it's not illegal to have elephant skin boots. It is regulated. So no elephants are being poached to make boots. So there's so many elephants that die per year. Their skin gets used. So it's going for a good cause, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that, because I get that at the store all the time. You got elephant skin boots? And I'm like, yeah, we have elephant skin boots. But the skin on that is so tough. It's like, it's very, very strong.
Well, how many things have we seen go to this fake leather and it doesn't last? It doesn't last ever. I mean, you even something as simple as my Bible, right? I have a Bible. The Bibles used to be leather cover. It's a fake leather, and that's shedding whatever.
Leather's what I call it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's plastic leather.
You know, it just can't hold. Or seats in a car, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you
pleather
get that thing
seats.
10 years later and it's just shredded down.
And
And
the heat does things too. If you have leather seats in a car and you don't have a garage to put it in,
yeah,
the summer sun's definitely going to cook them.
Yeah.
And they split. It doesn't matter how much leather care you put on pleather. It just isn't gonna work. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. And I'll have people come in that'll buy like cheap hats, cheap boots, and they can't figure out why they don't last. And I'm like, well, matter of fact, I've had people bring me cowboy hats in that weren't even felt. It was like cardboard with some fabric over it. And I'm like, man, you wear this in the rain,
your hat's
it's gonna literally melt over your head. So, and that's another thing I'd like to kind of talk to you about and let people know, the X rating on hats, especially felt hats. People ask me, why is it the more X's, the more expensive it is? And I tell them because used to, now I don't hold this because every hat manufacturer is able to X what they think their hat is. But it used to be the X stood for how much beaver hair was in the hat. So if you got a 3X hat, which I sell, supposedly that's 3% beaver that's in it. But today, no, it's mainly wool. You won't start seeing actual beaver hair till you get, depending on the manufacturer, of 5 to 7X. So now when you get a 100X hat, what that means is that's supposed to be all pure beaver pelt. And the reason that those are more expensive, and in reality, that's the hat you really want to buy to work in. And it makes no sense because I'll have people say, why do people spend $1,000, $2,000 on a 100X hat to work in? And the reason being is because beaver pelt repels water. And sorry about that.
You're good.
Forgot to turn my phone off.
No, you're fine.
They that 100% beaver pelt resists water, and it also does a really good job of resisting dirt. And so that's why I know a lot of old ranch working cowboys, they'll still buy a 100X hat to work in. So that's kind of the difference between a 3X and a 100X hat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to ask you kind of what a hat prices range. I mean, I have no clue. I mean, that's probably the worst question to ask.
No.
Like, I mean,
Saratelli, man, they're pretty old. They're not as old as Stetson or Resistol, but they've been around for a long time. They brought a hat to the NFR. I think it was not last year, but the year before last. And it wasn't just beaver pelt. It was chinchilla and mink hair.
Huh.
And I believe the sticker on that was $25,000, $30,000 for
that's
that
a designer hat.
Yeah. Well, there's some rich rancher or oil man out there that's going to buy that hat.
Yeah.
So, but when you buy that hat, it's not just the fur you're buying. A lot of the times that buckle on the hat band is going to be 24 karat gold. Sure. And it's going to have maybe a diamond sitting in it. So you're buying a little bit more than just the hair, but it's definitely a fancy hat. I don't know. I've got a 100X hat. I'm looking to buy another one. And I really do love them. They do kind of wear a little differently and they hold up a little better, but starting out for you, I would start out with just a 3X hat, learn how to clean it yourself. And that way, when you're ready, you can go to a little bit better hat. When I say better, I don't mean better, maybe more beaver content,
sure.
a little higher quality, I guess you could say. But 3X wool, I mean, I have a bunch, and I've got probably over 25 hats. So, and there's a lot of them that are 3X, and they've held up, but I don't always work in them, so they're kind of like just a hat to throw on. And basically, I have a hat for different attires.
Yeah.
Not all my hats are the same color, and they're not all shaped the same. And so it's kind of funny. I have wardrobes in my closet that I have specific hats that go with that wardrobe. But
how many hats would you say are in your collection?
Oh man, my wife done told me if I buy any more hats, she may have to leave. But no, she doesn't say that. No, I know I've got well over 25 hats. Now some of those I've inherited.
Yeah.
I've got some hats, and it's funny how hats change through the years. So I've got my dad's hat or his hats, and those from when I was a kid. And back then in the 70s and 80s, the bigger the hat meant, the bigger the guy, it showed wealth, it showed.
Yeah.
So, back in the 70s and 80s, those guys were wearing these big old hats that like brims like a sombrero, and their crown's like 2 foot tall. Yeah. But that was the style. And then eventually it's changed through the years. I've noticed the crowns are starting to get a little bit taller compared to what they were 15, 20 years ago. But yeah, so I've got a few of his hats. I actually did a TikTok about some of the stuff I've inherited from my grandparents and my uncle and my dad after they had passed. And my dad's work hat is one of them, which was a resistol. And I never cleaned it, and I never changed the shape because that was the hat, and that's how he wore it. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want it perfect. I want it the way it was the day he left, So I've got, if you used to come in my house and walk in through my door, you'd see hats, everywhere, not just laying everywhere, but I've got them, in a decorative decor. Yeah. So. And not just in the living room, it's, in the bedroom and everywhere else. Anywhere I can put them, you know. But
well, it's funny. My grandma came down to visit. All my family's in Minnesota, and they drove down, and she came to church with us, and she's like, and we were out in the town for a while, and she's just like, man, I'm disappointed. I'm not seeing that many cowboy hats. And she just, so if I came back to visit and I had a cowboy hat, I think she would just, I don't know, she might jump for joy. She expected to get down here and everybody would be wearing a cowboy hat.
A matter of fact, I've had some people from out of town come in to the store when we were on Main Street. The lady was like, man, I'm just so fascinated with this cowboy lifestyle. And she wanted a picture with me, and she's like, I've been getting pictures. She goes, I just saw a guy the other day I had to have a picture with, had a horseshoe mustache. And I said, really? I said, let me see that picture. And she showed, it was somebody I knew. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. I know him. You know him? I was like, well, a lot of us do. So she's like, yeah, I got my picture taken with him. And I go, well, he's a real cowboy, And she was pretty excited about it. So, but I love that. I love seeing people come here and get really involved and with the way our culture is here. Now, what blows my mind, and I don't know if it's still that way today, but I do know just a few years back, there's a lot of people in other states that still think we live in teepees out here. And I'm like, well, we do have some teepees, and if you drive around enough, you get up there around Pawhuska, I think they even have some sweat tents that you could see from the road. So, that culture's still being used, but I don't know very many people living in teepees around here.
No, I mean, well, I think like Oklahoma, people think just, my wife and I were, surprised when we visited for the first time before we ended up moving down here. Yeah. Just, it's so green. There's a lot of trees. Like, I mean, I don't know, like, if I really had much of a... And Oklahoma didn't cross my mind a whole lot. I mean, just realistically. But I definitely didn't think it wouldn't resemble as much of, like, Minnesota with woods and stuff like that. But it definitely does for me.
Yeah. Well, and how are you handling the humid? Because I tell everyone, when you move to Northeast Oklahoma, you're moving into an oven. Yeah. When it comes summertime... Yeah,
it was a lot, and I'm a runner too, so I would be like, I'll go out and run early, like it'll be great. And I remember multiple times saying, like, I would be better off having it be raining. I think I'm literally running in a cloud. It's like 99.
Oh yeah, it's so dense.
It's like as humid as it can be before it rains.
Yeah.
So definitely like a little bit of a learning curve, just because we would have humidity, we would have it on, a small stretch in Minnesota where it would be hot and super
not like
humid,
here, yeah,
but not for a
Yeah.
month or for a month and a half.
yeah.
So.
It's crazy here. Yeah, sometimes it's longer than a month and a half.
Well, I couldn't imagine doing work with, on a ranch or something like that in that type of heat.
Oh yeah, it's. But I guess when you live here as long as we have, we acclimate to it. But yeah, it. I know me and my wife when we got married, we flew out to Vegas, and I was like, I think I want to just live out here in this dry air. Everybody's like, "Oh, it gets so hot out here," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, go to Oklahoma where it's humid.
Yeah.
Dry air ain't nothing. At least if I get in the shade, I'm cool.
Yeah.
You can't hide in the shade. The only place I hide in Oklahoma to get away from the humidities, the lake or a pool,
or the
or inside. Yeah. But yeah, and the dry air, I don't think when we were out there, I don't remember ever sneezing.
No.
Allergies are gone.
Yeah, my wife's allergies this year has been just rocked with allergies, but no, we're loving it. I mean, and we've fallen in love with the city of Broken Arrow where we live, and man, it's so cool for me, and it's almost surreal for me to be able to sort of have just a way to meet so many locals who, and in the sentiment, like the through line through everyone I'm meeting is that like we love the city that we are in and we want to see it do well. And that's been really, really cool for me.
I think that's what drives so many people here. Mm-hmm. The more people that move here, they tell their friends or family and they come visit. And then, I very rarely get very many people saying, nope, not for me. But most of the time they tend to like it here. Mm-hmm. And it's different, you know, especially from Minnesota.
It's slower. It's slower here for sure.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I grew up here. So when I was 16 and driving, the traffic we have now is just crazy.
Really? Yeah.
But back then, when I first started driving, we really didn't have like a whole lot of traffic. We'd have a little bit, but not like we have now.
I was gonna say
like it wasn't stop and go type traffic, but it was slow going.
Yeah, I get it on the turnpike when because they're redoing that. But I just drove back to Minnesota last week, and you would definitely freak out with what I like. I was driving and it's like, oh my gosh, the amount of exchanges and changes, and I'm like, I forgot about this.
I think I know what you're talking about. Driving through like even Dallas and Austin, rush hour traffic's horrible down there.
Yeah. Although I don't go into Tulsa a whole lot. I just kind of everything I need in this area.
I mean, I've even got caught up into that whole got to hurry up and get somewhere type deal. But I do have to say, when I lived out further in like Wagner, man, you didn't get in a hurry to get anywhere. You just took your time, and everybody kind of was that way. Something about the closer you get to the city, the more you have to hurry to get around.
Yep.
But maybe that's because of the traffic. I don't
know. Yeah.
Good friend of mine, Mike Chambers, said this one time. He's like, Dave, we're all just ants basically trying to get to the same place or trying to get to a certain destination. And I never thought about it that way, but then it kind of made sense. I'm like, you know what? You're kind of right about that.
Yeah, my friend who flies airplanes, he'll be up in his little Cessna, and he said that for him is it's a very freeing thought for him. It's also like, what are we all like? He's over the traffic, and he's like, everyone's just freaking out to get places.
Yeah,
and
it
literally
like
looks like ants when he's up there. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else about the store. I mean, if you want to mention the location again, and then
the location's 817 North 15th Street, right there off 71st here in Broken Arrow. Air Gas kind of sits right back behind us. And then that same road will also take you to the school bus barn. So it's like a little dog leg right there off 71st between Lynn Lane and the Broken Arrow Expressway Bridge. The 71st goes over. So we're right there on the south side and kind of tucked away a little bit, but we're there. We got some signs out finally. And so that's where the location of it is. And I would like to have you come by sometime
Yes.
soon. Get you
Yeah.
out. Matter of fact, if you want to go to the rodeo, you definitely should come.
I would love to come to
Come
the
to
rodeo.
that for sure.
Yeah, I've been to one rodeo and I loved it. It was out in rural Idaho, and
I mean, and Rooster Day Rodeo every year keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, man, this is turning around. I remember, a few years back, it was just a few handful of people would show up, but like I said, I thank Taylor Sheridan and the whole Yellowstone thing for bringing that up. But anyways, yeah, that's our new location, and if anybody has time to swing by and just say hi, don't have to come in and buy anything. I mean, it'd be nice, but I'm such a friendly person. I'll visit with you all day, every day. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's our new place, and you'll have to come check it out. for
Sounds
sure.
good,
I
yeah.
can show you how everything works.
I'll be
over
by,
there,
and I'll
too.
take all of you guys along as well, and yeah, I mean, I think we could talk forever. We'll probably have to do another one.
I don't
of
even
these,
know where
so.
we're at.
I don't either. Our
We
timer
got rolling
died,
into
so.
this, and I forgot to turn my phone off.
No, we did great. Well, thank you for
so-
coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I'm planning on maybe starting my own podcast. I'll have to bring you on.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe even just bring you on a TikTok.
Yes,
Just
sir.
A little. Maybe when we outfit you, I can
Yeah.
do like a little TikTok
Yeah.
deal for you,
Yeah,
or Facebook, one of the two.
sounds good.
All right,
Look
thanks,
forward to
Jake.
it.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah,
You have a good day.
you too.